Hello Knights fans, and welcome to the season premiere edition of Holding Court with UCF volleyball coach Todd Dagenais. Coach, welcome. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Always a pleasure. Very exciting stuff. And some of our fans were in attendance on Saturday at the black and gold scrimmage, which is cool, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, what happened on the court. But you had some pretty cool things that took place in advance of that. And so talk to us about really what that full day entailed on Saturday.
Well, I think right now for us it's important to really build our fan base up, to get people involved in the program. And so one of the things that we did is we had a fan lunch. We opened it up to the public, and we had several fans come in and enjoy lunch with our players and get a chance to meet with them one-on-one. We did an autograph session with them. And it's just really, it's a way to reach out to the community and see if we can't get them involved in our program.
Cool. Now, who was the caterer for lunch? Where did that come from? What was the story there?
I think we just did one of the local vendors,
nice.
And we just had everybody enjoy the time with our players.
And you had media day for yourself immediately following, and the players were also available. And just kind of for fans that don't have the opportunity to come and sit in on those types of environments, just kind of give us a behind the scenes of what that looks like and feels like a little bit for media day stuff.
It's nice to have the media there. It shows that we're starting to get some recognition even within our own athletic department and here in the community. So to have media show up and be interested in what we have put together and what we have to say is really exciting. We just sit down and we answer the basic questions. They want to know about the team this year, some of the new players, some of the all-conference potential players are going to be, and so it's a good chance to start educating them a little bit more about the kind of season we think we can have.
Cool. Speaking of the kind of season that you think you can have, one of the things that you underwent last year was significant player time loss due to injury, and I think in the short term last year, obviously there was a price to pay, but moving forward with the type of season you think you could have this year, actually there's probably a benefit to that. Talk to us a little bit about how a negative thing can really turn into a positive thing for the program moving forward.
Sure. Well, going back to last year, I've never seen anything like that before.
Carnage, I think, would be the word.
And it's one right after another, and it really forces you to sit down and say, are we doing something wrong? Is something wrong with how we practice or how we weight train or training room? And it was just one of those quirky years where we had a lot of individual season-ending type things that really you can't prepare for and you can't prevent. You just hope that that never happens to somebody. It just happened to us. So on the bright side, several of those players return. Nicole Rydell comes back from her torn abdominal, and she's stronger than ever. Brittany Wallace comes back from her torn ACL. She's stronger than ever. So really what it does is it forced a lot of other players to step up, and I think the one in particular that had to step up was Tori McCutcheon in the middle. And now she's cemented herself as a starter in our program and probably our top middle, and it's all because
an opportunity she wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
Absolutely.
Yeah, excellent. Well, let's talk specifically about the game action on Saturday, what you saw, maybe something that surprised you. Just kind of talk through the roster at whole, with the understanding that we'll also take a minute or two to talk about your new players on the roster. And so we'll set those aside for a minute. So just returning players, performance, expectations, gauge all of that for us.
Well, once again, Tori McCutcheon had a great match. Evia Bilde had a great match. Both of our setters, who are both new, they really ran our offense at a higher level than we've had in a long time, consistently on both sides. And so the returners have showed a year's worth of experience and a spring's worth of training, and they put themselves in position to help us be successful. And of course, the new players on the floor, it was nice to finally see them in a jersey and doing well.
Now, speaking of new players and opportunity for new life into the program, let's kind of walk through the roster of new players, freshmen and transfer that are coming in. And what do you expect? What are you excited about them? What do you expect those ladies to bring to the program?
Well, we have 6 new players this year, and each of them have an opportunity early in their career to help us. Right now, we've got Kay Elise Green, who comes to us from Jacksonville, Florida. She's a middle blocker, easily the most athletic kid in our program, and somebody that just about the time she committed to us tore her ACL. So she's going to sit out this year, redshirt, and we're going to have her for 4 strong years, and I think she's going to be a huge mainstay in the middle for us as we get to the future. We also have Katie Tatum comes to us. She's an outside hitter from Roxborough, North Carolina, a very accomplished high school and club player. And right now she's getting up to the speed of the college game and dealing with some nagging injuries, but once we get her back, I expect that she's going to vie for some playing time once we get to October. Two players that are having an immediate impact for us on the floor, Allison Reinderknecht, who comes to us also from Jacksonville. She's an athlete. You know, in football, they have this new position. It's called ATH.
Right.
Well, if we were to have one in volleyball, that's what she is. There's some days
right
she plays left. There's some days she plays middle, and some days she plays right. Kind of like what a Sarah Rex had been for us.
Right.
So we're really excited to wait and see what position she gravitates to the most, and we'll find a way to get her on the floor in one of those positions because she's a dynamic athlete and a great kid to have on the floor.
Yes, sir.
Local product, Roxy Mendez was high school state champion, played for the Orlando Volleyball Academy here. Love to have the local kids involved in our program.
Right here from Timber Creek.
Timber Creek High School, and I think she's going to be outstanding. She comes in with her experience at a high level, maybe even higher than the other two liberos that we've had come in. Now she has to get used to the college game as well, but John, I wouldn't be surprised if you see her on the floor sooner than later because she has a lot of talents that we really need to have on the floor.
Excellent.
In addition to those four, we bring in two setters. One has already been with us, that's Marie Riederova. She's been with us since January and really has a nice grasp of the offense. And really, both setters were functioning at a high level in practice, and you need that to be good. But Maria's come in, she's had a lot of the spring reps, and had a couple nagging injuries here in the fall, so we're getting her back from that. And then, of course, we have Rachel Buxton, the transfer, who just has intimate knowledge of the conference. And you know, her experience and her gamesmanship is something that she's already imparted upon our players, and we're a better team having her on the floor. And just by nature of the injuries to Marie, Rachel's taken most of the first team reps, I guess, and so I'm guessing that she's going to end up playing a lot this weekend. But we've never been in such a strong position setting-wise because on both sides of the net we have high-level, high-quality setting.
Yeah.
And when you have that, you have a chance to score.
Excellent, excellent. A couple of things in particular that stood out at the black and gold scrimmage for me. Number one is Angelica Crump can just jump out of the gym. Just talk a little bit about her athleticism and you know, how do you mold that and shape that and plug that into your program?
You know, a lot of times you end up with athletes that you can't mold and shape.
Right.
And Jelly, we call her Jelly. She's just one of those players that craves the knowledge and listens to you like a sponge. And she's already improved significantly over last fall. But that's exactly the reason why we redshirted her. And even through all the injuries, I mean, you have no idea how many times we had thought about, okay, do we pull her off a red shirt? And there was a couple times I was ready to put her in a game, and Michelle literally grabbed me by the back of the shirt and said, "Don't do it." And it ends up being a great decision because Jelly could very well be a four-year starter for us, and we feel like she has an opportunity to break all the records here. But again, she's still a young player.
Right.
Still teaching her some of the background, the defensive stuff, teaching her some of the shots and to vary her speeds. Kind of like a pitcher, you got to vary the speeds and the arm slots and all that kind of stuff. And,
right.
That's a lot for somebody to learn. Or we can just tell her to go out there, jump high,
just
and hit hard.
Right,
and that's what she's doing
right
right now. She's just going to go out there, jump high, and hit hard, and she's going to score points because of it.
Now, in the flow of that, you referenced Michelle, and I would be remiss if I did not. Does Coach Chapman have any NCAA eligibility left? Because she was just like the Berlin Wall the other day. Can we plug her in anyway?
Well, I'm sure the NCAA would have a pretty huge issue with
they would frown. They would frown upon
even
that.
if we changed her name or anything.
Right.
But yeah, no, she went out there and put up 14 blocks.
Right.
And I think what that shows our players is even at Michelle's advanced age of mid-20s.
Yeah, there was a particular nickname that when she would make a great block or play at the net or whatever, you called her, what was that exactly?
I think I called her Grandma.
I can verify that.
Because, you know, here she is, you know, well out of college now, having not played at all with the exception of once every few weeks in practice. And it just goes to show that when you have excellent technique, and you have that hustle and that motor that doesn't quit, you can put up numbers no matter who you are. And it's great for our players to see Michelle go out there and put up 14 blocks on technique alone. Now, granted, Michelle is a fantastic athlete, and even though she's past her college days, a lot of that is still with her. But the reality is, if you're technically sound, you can go out and you can perform those kind of numbers night in and night out. And so it's nice for Michelle to be training the middles every day and then just go out on the floor and say, hey, do it like this.
Speaking of technically sound, just tell us a little about Kristen Fisher and just what you appreciate about her and just the stability that she brings to the program too.
Sure. We've shared in a lot of media outlets how proud we are of Kristen. You know, she's just a dynamic story. came here as a walk-on, tore her ACL her first year, redshirted that year, was actually a middle. I came here and said, I'm sorry, there's no room for a 5'10" middle.
Right.
And she hung around. I told her it's going to be really an uphill climb for you. You're going to have to learn to pass. You're going to have to learn to play defense. And she said, whatever I need to do.
It speaks a lot to her integrity.
Oh,
there.
for sure. And she spent that first year struggling. I didn't know if she was going to make it. I really didn't. And but she just persevered. She kept putting one foot in front of the other, and all of a sudden she started getting pretty good. Last year, through a bunch of different situations, she finds herself in the starting lineup as an outside hitter. Performed very admirably, right, and now sets herself up for an amazing senior year. And so she really has gone through a transformation in her 4 years. I'm trying to be able to keep her a 5th year, but she's got bigger and better things waiting for her professionally. Just a dynamic, 3.9 plus student in nursing, and she's going to go on and do some great things in the medical field. And so we're going to really miss her after this year. But the leadership that she brings, the skill that she brings, the do-it-like-me attitude that she brings really is invaluable for our program.
Excellent. Now, you talked about anticipating a great senior campaign for her. Now, let's step back from individuals and just kind of cast vision for our fans, specifically about what your hopes are and your anticipations for this campaign that's coming up.
Right. It's tough to say right now. We have so many questions, I think. We're young. And even though Kristen is a senior, she's really a junior. And in terms of being an outside hitter, she's a sophomore.
Right.
Angelica, despite having a year of redshirt under her, she's still a freshman. Meredith's still a sophomore. Our setters are still freshmen and junior. And so we do not have a lot of upper class experience. What we have is a lot of underclass talent. And how talent performs on the road, you don't know. How talent performs in stress, you don't know until it happens. So once we get through these first few weekends where we get punched in the mouth a little bit, and then we'll see how we step up and fight back. And I'm confident that we will. I feel like we will. But until it actually happens, you never know. So expectations, I know we're going to be better than last year. I don't know to what degree. To me, I feel like we've got a range, anywhere between right around 500 in conference, and if we can get more than 6 wins in conference, that's going to be the best season this program has ever had in Conference USA, and I feel like we're going to get that. So somewhere in 500 in conference, anywhere up to being able to compete in the top 3, 4, maybe 2 of the conference. I think that's our range, and I think experience tells me that it'll probably be somewhere in the middle of that. I don't think it'll be on the low end. It'll be tough to be on the high end. It'll probably be somewhere in the middle. But I feel like we're going to have a pretty good year. How good is going to depend on our health and how quickly we can get experience and mature.
Yes, sir. I speak from experience myself when I say that the venue is one of the most exciting venues in UCF athletics, and it is the place to be for UCF volleyball. I encourage you to come out and support Coach and the ladies as they represent Knights Nation. Coach, thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure.
Looking forward to a great season.
Being here, and I look forward to doing this week in and week out with you. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, sir. Thank you.